Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear viewers, we welcome you into our program, the Youth Platform. Today being the first one edition on this very program in Dims Media. And as a host, my name is Ibrahim Andong Al-Khalil. So today, we really have somebody who is our friend and our sister. Before I start this program today, I would like to ask my colleague as a host, my very friend and a sister, who I would like to introduce herself into the program and welcome our main invitee in this very program today. May we have you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am your host Nima Jawla, and I present you my beautiful sister Amie Sohna.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Everybody, my name is Amie Sohna. I'm just a student now, currently the head girl.
So that being said, dear viewers, today, as said in the advertisement, that this platform is created for the youth and purposely to empower the youth. The importance of youth empowerment, the value of youth empowerment, we would like to discuss today, and everything that encompasses youth empowerment. We would like to discuss a lot of things that really concerns the youth in this very platform. So today, I would like to introduce my very sister, my invitee, as personally, I would like to introduce her to you so that you know that the Gambia has some people who are really much educated, some people who are really good at what they do, and they are youth. And just to say, in a nutshell, that she was the former head girl of Charles Young Memorial Academy and currently the head girl of Nusrat Senior Secondary School. And as an invitee, I have a pleasure to really have you in this program today as the first edition of my youth platform. So I think that is a really
Huge thing.
huge thing to me.
We welcome you to our youth
Thank you
platform.
so much. I'm pleasure.
All right. So we'd like you to tell us a little bit about your background, educational background.
It's not much because I'm in my senior secondary school. I've gone to Sinchibaria Lower Basic School, and then prior to that, I've gone to Dara. I was at Senegal. I couldn't remember the grades that I have gone so far. So when I came back here in the Gambia, I've gone to Dara probably for 2 years. Then I was enrolled in Sinchibaria Lower Basic School. I did my basic side of education for 6 years usually. Then I proceeded to Charles Joe, where I've done my junior school. And then now in Nusrat Senior Secondary School at grade 12.
Thank you very much.
That's one.
That being briefly said, so it is a pleasure once again to have Amie Sohna, the intellectual poet, I call her, and she's a sister, just like a sister to me. So I believe it will be very important to talk about the youth, as the youth are the roof of every nation. Without the youth, the nation cannot develop or progress, I believe. So we would like to talk about something very important as a topic, that is youth empowerment. You know, everybody hears about youth empowerment every now and then, but we would like to discuss this as youth because we believe that it is the youth that know the problems and the difficulties of the youth. If you want to know the difficulties and the problems of the youth, you must go to the youth and ask them. Yeah, so that's why we would like to ask our dear friend Amie Sohna some few questions about youth empowerment and development. So, the first question I would like to ask is, what is the meaning of youth empowerment?
Yes, an important question. To my own view, I would like to. Opinions are like noses, and everybody has one. And to myself, I want to give it with my own opinion. A youth is an individual that is allowed to do what he wants to do appropriately, and then realize profit. Then you are empowering them in that sense. So that is basically youth empowerment on my perspective.
You mean that youth, when they're given the value, when they're given themselves as a platform, when the youth are being, showcased into the media, or they're being showcased into different aspects, or different or multifaceted dimensions, or they are being given the, the real meaning of life, then they are called youth or empowered, right?
Not necessarily that, because I've said it's about allowing the individual to do what you want. And doing what I want is not what another person wants. Maybe I want to be empowered through doing this talk show to make sure that I motivate other people. Some people will want to be empowered, allowing them to do the work, physically. Some other people want to do it in a different manner. So it's about what the individual wants, and it is appropriate. At the same time, it is providing that individual the profit that he wants to realize. That's basically it. So, because you cannot talk about empowering people and then the individual is not doing what makes him him. You understand? We make sure that in empowering people, we allow them to do what makes them them. You understand? Then in doing so, they will have that passion to go on with it, because you have overwhelming obstacles that come along the way. So those obstacles, if you want to overcome them, it is only because it is only the passion that you have for the job that will help you go through. So that is what I believe, basically.
And the other question that I have is about the Gambian youth, because I, personally, I believe that the Gambian youth needs empowerment, right?
Yes.
But to your own opinion, do you think the Gambian youth really need empowerment, and why?
Gambian, the population, the 75% of the Gambian population is made of the youth. And that is telling you that the greater part of the population of the Gambia is the youth. So it's logical not to even talk about allowing them to do the things that they want to do, but in it, we empower them so that they realize development as soon as possible. The Gambian individual or the youth needs empowerment. Why? Because we make up the leaders of tomorrow. And how do we make up the leaders of tomorrow? We are needed to be guided by the elders of today. And that is why one of this is a means of empowering youth, because you come on board, you talk to people, motivate them, ignite that power that they need to work on themselves and do this and do that. So other people too have to do the same. How can you help you? Make sure you pay for the school fees of that guy, do this, do that. All of those are means in which youths can be empowered. The Gambian individual, coming to the question exactly why does he or she needs empowerment? The Gambia in terms of development is almost very, 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 very low. We are needed to be empowered as a nation, needed to be empowered as individuals, needed to be empowered as communities, as societies, as a country. So the empowerment at this stage of the Gambia, we don't centralize it on youths only, because when you empower the youth, you empower the youth's home. When you empower the youth, you empower the youth society. When you empower the youth, you empower the youth's country. So when we talk about empowering the youth, it's about empowering the Gambia, because that's what the Gambia needs right now. Because with development, whatever sect in this whole world, we are so not very up to expectation as other countries are. So that is a specific reason why we need to be empowered, because it's not about an individual case anymore. Yes.
And what do you think are the ways or techniques in which youths could be empowered?
Okay. Avenues in which youths can be empowered. This is one. This is a means. As you have said, this is a point whereby youths are being empowered. So at this point, I consider it to be an avenue whereby youths are motivated. So we can also have creation of avenues like creating workshops for them, giving them packages, having them to make sure that they perceive a promising future in their mindset. That is important. So you can empower youths in your own way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't differ how. It doesn't differ how it goes. Because talking to the youth, telling him this or that, if you do this, you will achieve this. That is your empowerment in your own way.
Yeah.
People do it differently. It doesn't need to. It doesn't mean when we talk about empowerment, sometimes they think it has to be providing everything for you.
Yeah.
Like my dad usually say that I'm going to show you how to catch fish, but not to catch fish for you.
Yeah.
That is, you make sure that you set that platform for the individual to grow. And if you are not growing, if that sense of growth is being kept in youths, then you have deprived them the power of empowerment, and that shouldn't be done. So it's not about giving the person everything he wants in life. That makes us very, very lazy. What you do is you set the role for the individual to move on. And please, youths, I would like to tell you, some of the times you just need to do it yourself. You don't need to wait for individuals to be pushing you too hard. You should have your aim set down, your objective set down, so that when another force comes, it will just be a pursuing force. Because that is how it has to go. Because let us see, if you don't have, let's take an example. You want a fish and you don't have a hook or you don't have a boat, and then somebody knows the way. If I get you up to the river, how will you do it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know how to do it. So be ready to have your equipment at your side. Be ready to know your logics. Be ready to set up yourself. That whenever somebody is from another place to empower you, then it will make it materialize.
Yeah, that is the perception that I have in me. Because I have observed that people say that the youth are not being empowered. But that will lead me to my next question. Because if you think that the youth need to be empowered, are the youth doing something? Are the youth really getting themselves engaged into things that will develop them into skills, into things that at least when they are empowered, they will be able to forward for themselves?
I assume you will presume my answer because it will be no. And in general, not even talking about the youths, the Gambian individual is very lazy. And that just tells you, the Gambian individual will go to bed at 10 o'clock. No, let us even say at 1 o'clock or even 12. And then before that, you will wake up, you will see the sunrise. That is terrible. You're going to be sleeping up to, 8, 10, you're going to be sleeping up to 11 as a youth. And you don't have a standard life. And many of us here do it. That is showing you how lazy we are. We have seen, zoos where people they gather together and they brew atay, and they will tell you, you go to school and then you finish school, you don't have a job.
Yeah.
It's not true. Okay, there are other people that are demotivated by this sense. They tell you in the Gambia, if you work and then you're done, you don't have a job, or we are not being provided with the means. But then, for me to provide you with the means, you need to do that yourself. And in fact, this is our Gambia. This is not something that a few people own. So you need to come as somebody, as a stakeholder, to make sure that you impact that development you want yourself.
Yeah.
Because sitting in the booth does not tell really well. Go outside, create the employments for yourself. And how do you do this? Skill work. Skill work is the best thing that can propel a nation, especially in the Gambia.
That will be another topic. We'll come to that.
Okay.
It is going to be something huge. I would like to ask you another question, because you've said something very important. Like, the Gambian youth is lazy. That is what you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Gambian youth is lazy because of, you said, coming to something like, not preparing themselves, and then, not organizing themselves into something decent, when it comes to time, right? Yeah. So, but then, to my own opinion, it is not not all the youth. Like the likes of you, there are very good, there are very, very energetic and active youth in the Gambia, and very passionate Gambians, youth that are doing very well. But then most of them sometimes are not being listened to. And the reason why is because of the Gambians, most of them don't listen to people. they don't value listening to people opinion, especially when they're youth. Recently I've watched a video, about somebody called Usman Toure, a very much, passionate guy. He's a pan-Africanist. He was saying something very important about, youth development and how to develop the country and things like that. Without the youth, the Gambia cannot be developed and things like that. So I think we need youth like that. Some people who are very much good at what they do, and we need to be giving them the platform to speak to the youth. I think it is the youth that can speak to the youth, because it is the youth that know the youth.
But do you think the youths are even making effort for it?
Yeah.
There's a question.
Yeah.
One of my mentors used to always say that in the Gambia, when you talk about somebody is rich or somebody has power, that is the time that attention is given to you. But somebody has idea, we listen to, and most of the times it's ideas what make up human beings, as in the way you live, the way you perceive things, the way that you develop to your standard. Some of the times what we need in life is adventure, because we were not born and then started walking. We were born and then started crawling, started all of those things, in a gradual manner.
Yeah.
So it's okay to start as an individual, to start from the cradle, and then you start, taking it easy. There's one also, the one thing that the Gambian individual has, that is they are too hasty, and they want to realize the money just right now. And it doesn't work like that, especially in a country like this. You have to allow yourself to go through that ladder. You have to allow yourself to have dollars today, to have $2. The next day you have 100. The other day you have, just like that. Because it is just the youth that are sitting at home, not doing anything importantly. And they are the very youth saying, we are not being empowered, we are not this, we are not that. But then, aside that, you also have wonderful youths that are doing extremely well outside. When it comes to the things that they do physically, when it comes to when it comes into their ideas, their thoughts, their everything, they're doing so much, and we're saying a very congratulations to them. And anybody that can empower them in your own way, please do, because you people too are not people that are so lazy sitting at home and almost doing nothing. And we are working towards a technological age. It's important that people start knowing that as we go on, people will start working from their own homes. And how do you make sure that attention is given to you, or what you're doing is unique? It's about doing things that stand out. Doing things that stand out, it doesn't necessarily mean that let me not do what you do. But let me do things that has some uniqueness in it. That whatever I want, nobody can provide it to me except Ibrahim, except yourself. That is the technological, that is the age we are headed to.
I have some personal opinions. There is a saying that goes that when opportunity doesn't come, you create a door, right? But how about if you create a door and opportunity doesn't still knock? And you will not realize that until the end, right?
Yes, logically.
So I think the youths need empowerment.
Yes, you're right. Breaking the door might create you a problem. That is why each and every individual needs a mentor, a coach, somebody that manages all of your affairs, somebody that guides you. And in the Gambia, they don't.
Just in a nutshell.
Yes, they don't.
It seems like in the Gambia we don't have
coaches, and mentors. We are supposed to have those things. You to make sure that they set the path for you, because they know the things that that you want to do, or they have been doing the things that you are about to do. Shakespeare said that all leaders cannot be followed, and not all of us cannot be leaders, and not all leaders can totally be followed. When you are at a fellowship level, you should allow to be led, so that you can be followed one day. That is just it. It is so difficult for you. You want to break the door, and it's so difficult. Those are hurdles. But then, how do you make sure you overcome those hurdles? It's allowing yourself to have a mentor, allowing yourself to have a coach, allowing yourself to seek advice on that particular subject in which you want to venture in. That is it. Because even the human being himself, when you're born, you started learning, everything has been taught to you. So allow yourself to be taught, then you'll be educated.
Thank you very much. That's very important. So that's the point I wanted to bring on board. And then another point I have with me is about still on the topic. Do you really think that the Gambian youth need to venture into skills? Because I personally think that what can develop this country, this Gambia, is skills. Yeah, I think it is skills that can develop the Gambia. So how do you think, and what do you think about youth developing themselves into skills and creating something like a center of excellence? What I mean by a center of excellence is create a form of a big school whereby youths are going to be, going to school and learning there. They will be basing there for perhaps 5 years, learning about skills only, learning about tailoring, learning about skills.
I've gotten the question.
You have gotten the question.
This will just bring my grief, a long grief that I had. Some people go to school and then they will have gone up to the 9th grade.
Yeah.
When they get to the 9th grade, they will fail their exams. And that is not supposed to be the end of their lives. Or they are not supposed to be pushed to grade 10. Because as an individual, you got up to the 9th grade and you fail your exam. There should have been vocational schools that was already set for you. Then that will just feature skills. Those people that can, get it with the theories and the like, let them go to school, and then if they can pursue white collar jobs, it's okay. But you that is not very okay with thoughts that can be idealized in theories, in whatsoever crazy theories, just go to a vocational school. And then we will make sure by the time you're done, you will have your grade 12 result. And by the time I am done, I'll have my grade 12 result too, with skills. Then I will go, I'll be encouraged to go to the university, and you too will go to university. Then we will realize development at a faster rate. But then those people are pushed to grade 10 and then up to grade 12 they fail their exams, or better yet they are even school dropouts, which is not very telling well. So suppose we have given these people the platform of creating vocational. We have vocational schools in the Gambia, and they are not very many. And even though if there are very many, they are not being paid attention to. I don't know whether it's about the sectors in which they work in, or it is about the individuals themselves. Or it's about the attention of the Gambian not vested to them. But then this would have been done by the Ministry of Education. Put it into place. Because those people, if suppose they have the opportunity to go to university, they should have gone to university. They go to university, they do salon, they do tailoring, they do they do all of those things. But then you cannot allow those people not to have a formalized sense of skill work. Some people are in skill works, but it's not so formal like it has to be. They should have gone to university. They should have had their own institution to make sure that we realize development as soon as possible.
That's very important. I think you have
That's what
even gotten into the second topic, the second topic that we wanted to discuss, with you today, because we wanted to discuss something about education. And you have already gotten into that now. So I think I will give my colleague to ask you some few questions about the education system of the Gambia.
So, do you think the education system of the Gambia is of standard?
I'm even taking my time to answer that question. I want to say yes, and paradoxical note. Yes, in the sense that it is really hard, but then out of that sense, people are still making it. They go to school, they pass in their exams, and they are substantial students in the society. Saying no, it is terrible, because you see graduates of the senior level, of the university level, they're not able to bring out their thoughts. I'm not talking about being able to, some people in the Gambia now, they misunderstand these two. Having knowledge and being able to speak English, they're like two different things. Language is not knowledge. Let people understand that for God's sake.
That's very
language isn't knowledge. So, how do we realize that this individual has knowledge? It's about idealizing your thoughts, bringing out your thoughts, making them into reality. Let us see what you have in your brain. You understand? This is how we go about it. In the Gambian education, at the higher sense, it is bad. Why? Because you have so many students that have graduated and they are not substantial. they cannot bring out their thoughts. They cannot set themselves as educated individuals. Because what's really true is the educated person and the uneducated, the illiterate individual, the way you behave should not be the same. They're not supposed to be the same. Because you have a formal thing that has gone from one stage to another, and then the things that you need to do have to be gradual, and they need to follow each other in a chronological manner. That is it. That is it. But an individual that has attained education shouldn't behave in such manners. When the behavior is put aside in developing yourself, because you can be educated and then you still struggling too very hard to make up a living. That is not up to that standard form, but then to earn something at the end of the month or even on daily basis. Yes, it's really bad, and I think it needs transformation. Transformation period we will need will take a long time. Am I getting to the next question?
I think you have gotten into the next question.
Sure.
It's like you're following the trend.
Yes.
This is why I would like to have you in my platform here, because you really know what really is in us also. Because this is what we call a skill. It is what we call also knowing actually what you are into. Because if I have you in the platform here today, there is a reason. I know that you really know what is in you, because I've spoken to you, for many times, and you have been, telling me that you have some gifts in you that you want to speak out, you want to pop out into the media, so that people will understand about youth, especially the education system of the Gambia. So when we say whether the education system of the Gambia needs transformation, I think that's our next question. But before that question coming, the education system of the Gambia, needing transformation in the sense that you said, like, when you speak English, sometimes people tend to say, "Oh,
the guy is educated."
Yeah, educated.
Yes,
and you, the educated guy, when you go when you go home, you're gonna even make
create things for yourself.
You're gonna even make a table.
Yes.
You're gonna make a table. So if you need a table, you must go to the person who learn something about skill. The carpentry guy. You want to go to the carpentry guy to make furniture for you, because you don't have skills. Because what you are learning, in the education system of the Gambia, is like we're following something that is not giving us, any benefit. Right? Because I think, to my personal opinion, I think, from grade 9, you should start learning a skill. At least after grade 12, you should, at least be able to make
create employment,
good use of yourself. Yeah, because many of the university students today, they are paying a huge amount of money, and at the end
of the day, you won't realize that in a very short period of time.
Does the Gambia need transformation in education system?
Yeah.
I think I've trapped this in my answers. What I said is, I think we do need transformation in our education system. And how do we do this? To split it, to make sure those people that are dropped out still get on going to school. Those people that have lost the aim along the way still get into the system. Because those people that have stopped going to school at the 9th grade doesn't tell well with them. Maybe some of them will be dropped out in the sense of they were not able to cram the things that we cram, and then just paste it again, and then they have A's and their B's. Some people might be the result of their skills have not, they do realize that when they move on, it will not achieve them what they want. So this is what avenues like skill centers be created for them. So at the 9th grade, you have passed, you go to university, you didn't pass, or you want to pursue skill ventures, you go to the skill work. So by the 5th grade, or you can even go up to up to 5th grade, they can even go up to 5th year, 5 years, and then they kick off from there, get to the university, do amazing things. That is the simplest way we can do to make sure that we realize development.
To realize development. So, okay, the other point I would like to ask is, today, how do you think like this transformation could be done? Because I think it is very important to have a transformation in the education system of the Gambia. You, as somebody who is, recently, or right now at the process, you are through the process, right?
Yes.
So you would know better than anybody who's not at the process right now. Because sometimes sit and imagine if the Gambian education system was transformed into something that is Gambianizing, in the sense that when you want to develop a people, as said by Usman Ture, he said, when you want to develop a people, you should look into those people like what really matters, their realities, what are their norms and their values and their cultures, put it into them, and then to be able to develop them. But you cannot just bring something that is from the outside and you want to introduce it to people that are not, that do not match what you want to introduce. It doesn't make sense. I think the Gambian needs transformation in the sense that, they have to give them their due. Their due in the sense that they have to create something that will, at least, everybody will be able to everybody will be able to
I understand.
realize something. Because right now, let me tell you, there are many people who want to go to school, but then if you tell them, you know what they'll tell you? English is my problem.
Math is my problem.
Math is my problem. I cannot speak English. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. How about if it was transformed into something like
something in our realities, and then it will still suit us to have development. Blames cannot be put on anybody. I hear you saying that youth should be empowered. Who should empower the youth? Because elders of today were once youth. So those elders of that generation didn't empower them. It's just like that. So we the youths of today will be elders of tomorrow. So if you don't empower the youths of our generation, then they will still get the blame on us. So basically it's about putting ourselves, accepting the blame, and then transforming into ourselves into the best individuals that we want to be, and stop the blame game. Your question again, if I have not forgotten, is about how do we empower the youth?
How could we transform the education system?
The education system in it and empower them. As you were saying, is about reflecting our realities. Because you cannot teach an individual theories, physics theories, and then all of those things. At the end of the day, the individual cannot fix up a bicycle or cannot produce a paracetamol. It doesn't really tell well because it starts telling me the things that Shakespeare said, the things that people said, this and that, and then it's just that's the end of it. When you go to work, what you do is just write and then pack. No, that is not okay because it's not reflecting the Gambian context. The mental slavery is still going on, as people say. I don't really want to get into those things because it hurts me a lot. But then it is going on because there are certain things that you will do at home, and then people will start saying, you are an African, you are all of this, you are that, you are not a European. And somebody getting up to the style of a European individual is cherished than the individual trying to depict yourself. This is not an issue of talking about Africa or even talking about Europe or even it's about talking about individual. What suits you to do? Just do what suits you and then go on. And in doing what suits you, make sure you realize your profit and let it be appropriate for heaven's sake. That's just it. Let people stop, picking. It's okay to ask to have inspiration from somebody. It's okay to be motivated by some individuals. But there are certain things that you need to do as an individual. Not connecting yourself to any entity of African people, of European people, of whatever. You understand? Because at the end of the day, we are all one. It's just a global war. So what we do has to concern us. We have to have this differentiation. Why? Because we have something we call Africa, we have something we call the Europeans. This is the two words that we need to come together. Because we're just one people.
Is Allah's creation.
Yes, Allah's creation. So it's important that we stop saying Africa, we stop saying Europe. Because it's not creating any good. It's not creating any good. So it's about time that we realize that we are one individual and this world belongs to us. It doesn't belong to anybody. You being different, that tells you well. Because when I think about the things that I do going to be different with yours. So obviously we have to be different in appearance, in looking, in whatsoever. So that is it now.
Yeah, to come again to the topic of this education system, I think the huge problem of the Gambian education system is lack of competence. And well-qualified teachers.
The teachers are not anybody other than the students. Once a teacher was once a student. So as I have said, is about within ourselves. We are not imported elders from other countries. It's about the Gambia ourselves. The Gambia with its elders, the Gambia with her youth, the Gambia with her children, everything. So there was so much breakdown that has been done so far. So what we need to do now is about promise again. Let us promise ourselves again, and then transform ourselves into better people. This sense of laziness is very bad because you can't even get
The use of today's
your own mother in the house, your own
Especially
dad
in
in
the
the
Gambia.
house. Yes, it's very lazy. I don't know how will you even pick up from that as an example. It's we don't just say the reality that is going on, because as a child is more prone to the is more prone to the parents. So what the parents do is what the child usually does. It's important too, we have this in mind, because tomorrow when we have our house, the way we behave is the way, in most cases, kids will probably behave.
Thank you very much.
So, I don't know, the
Yeah.
time. Yes.
Everyone is telling me the time.
Yeah, so basically that is it. Let us, re-energize ourselves in picking up, so that are we not dreamers? Are we not dreamers that want so much? Are we not ambitious? It's a question that we need to ask people, so that they can get rid of this issue of laziness into ourselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, it is really a pleasure, to have my intellectual poet, Amie Sohna,
Amie Sohna.
current Nusrat Senior Secondary School, and girl. Actually, their viewers, it was really much pleasure to us, for us to have invited Amie Sohna today. So,
We are really pleased to have you here in our platform.
Yes, thank you so much for the invitation too. Do I have not prepared?
Yeah.
But anyway,
having a
you've called me several times.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be with you here and talk about things that I know about, education that I know about, empowerment. It has not been long, my adventure. It has not been long because I was not born long ago, and then still in the system of being educated. But then we hope forward to look things that are greater things, and then we wish you all the best. Just be you, and because being you is the way we can only see through you.
What can you say about Nims TV?
Yeah.
This TV, it's a good initiation, and a congratulations to you. This is the way in which you can start this set for you. You can, this is the way he has the equipment on his side. As I was giving the example that you need to have your own equipment. You need to have your hook. You need to have your boat, so that people can tell you where the river is. So if somebody is to empower him right now, it will be so easy because how do you set things for him? So be ready there. Be always there to set things for yourself. Because how do you do this? It's about being you. Because if you're not you, you cannot see through you, and then you cannot expect people to see the you.
Let everybody be the real
persons they are.
Thank you very much. And that's what I think is very important, because the founder of this very Nims TV and the CEO is not a person who has gone very far into education. But then he has been himself
for so long.
That
I have realized, yes.
And there are many people that are doing such as well. So let people stop saying that should be educated enough to do things like that. I believe in education, but let people be themselves into what they want to be. So this was Arthur's very program in the youth platform.
Yes.
And thank you once again, dear viewers out there. Till next time.
Thank you.